Okay, so I've received a question about, do you have any follow-along yoga classes on the drive or online anywhere? On the drive means on Google Drive, because I have an online training program called the Silent Flute. If you've heard me mention it, or any shout outs or lettering or anything that says Silent Flute, that's my training program from a group of people. And the group keeps growing, and so I recommend check out the landing page for it. You'll see the info. But so the drive refers to where all of those Silent Flute videos are. And, you know, the Silent Flute is much more than postures, but postures is a really interesting gateway into your system. And when you try to align everything and internally, so it looks like a line, but then internally you think it like a line, it feels like a line, and then when you get the image, the feeling, and the thinking of it all together, you know, you line up your body, then very interesting things happen that are difficult to really explain, and that's kind of why I use posture theory. But it's definitely a means towards calming your mind, really bringing some order to the chaotic thoughts. It gives a reference against which you can see your monkey mind, because it's a stable datum. The geometry of your body is like, it's like straight lines, you know, even if it's bent lines or twisted lines, like it's definitely geometry. And the geometry gives you like, let's say if a person was on psychedelics, if they're really heavily on psychedelics, what you would do to calm them down, because you can't make it pass faster unless it's really in the upper like stomach, and then you can make them throw it up and it wouldn't affect them as much. But, you know, if it's digested, if they're too heavily on the drugs, what you do is you give them something very simple and rhythmic. Not complex music, just maybe like some Indian chanting music, like Native American chanting kind of rhythms. And that'll give their system a pattern that they can, it's like a ladder, they can climb the ladder out of it using the rhythms. So with postures, we're doing something similar. We're giving something very basic that the internal structure of the mind, that when you close your eyes and you see your body, you bring awareness and a sense of order to the body. And so then against the order, you can notice when what you think about brings agitation to the order. And at first, there's going to be a tendency, like all of the slave society, to blame other people of like, you disturbed my system kind of thing. No, your whole universe is inside. We know this in the Silent Flute. Your whole universe exists in your awareness. That's where it is. And so anything that agitates you is something in your own awareness that you're allowing to agitate you. So what do you do with what's in your awareness? Well, the first thing is you got to notice it. So you get your postures are a great way to do that. Everything I just explained, and I can go deeper into it, and I will. But the basic question of, do you have follow-along classes? Because there are much more mechanical reasons, you could say, to do yoga, just to loosen up if you got physical pain. And either of those are not the same thing. Like if you're tense, or you're off balance, imbalanced inside, or, you know, there's pain. And then of course there's many physiological reasons of like pumping circulation and opening up the system inside, and, you know, strengthening some of the really fine channels and vessels in the body to help prevent stagnation, which is a cause of disease, is that kind of stuckness. Your vessels get sticky, you know, your capillaries and your veins, you know, so that's a whole different reason. So there's all of those reasons. The ultimate reason, when you have wellness of the body, there's still going to be unwellness of the mind and how you interact with the world. Everybody deals with this. The president to the, you know, janitor, everybody. And, you know, so that kind of harmony mentally with the world is what we're going for, but not at the ignorance of this temple. This temple will influence your mind. So you clean the temple with your posture practice and use it to get to a place where you become aware of your mind. And, you know, what do you do with the mind? That's a lot of what we do in the Silent Flute. The basic question of where do I start with? I would start first with if you have any injuries. If you have any injuries or something directly that you're trying to work on, like coordination of both the left and right side, you're working with vertigo, or, you know, nausea, migraines, or if you have some physical something going on, you'll know what it is. Then I would start with treat that. If you work with somebody like me, a lot of times that localized issue, I would say do this whole body sequence so that we can start to spread that tension and ease throughout the body, and we don't just fully focus right there. just as an example for a shoulder. Because a lot of times when you focus in so much on a local area, you bring more tension to it. But if you had an injury there, then that has to be treated. Okay, so let's say you're injury-free. Then why are you getting into it? Are you interested in, let's say, in the silent flute? Are you interested in absorbing more of the mental awareness? Then I would definitely say do my sequences the way I cue them, and my voice will help with your assimilation of everything else that I say. And and look, there's different titles for different sequences. I would say just kind of skim and see what resonates with you. How much time do you have is a big variable. Do you want a 20-minute sequence, a 60-minute sequence, or whatever in between? Do you want it more easy, more challenging? How flexible are you? Total beginner or deeper stretching routine? A lot of that's going to be, if you're not necessarily following me, I don't do too many deep stretch routines. I mean, I can do splits, I can do deep back bends and whatever, but it's rare for people to be able to do that, and it's just not worth my time to give a lot of teachings on that right now. Maybe it is. Maybe that's a limiting belief. Maybe I should. I'm doing other things, but maybe I'll do that. But I give some really deep sequences. I mean, you'll get deep back bends and deep hip openers and things, and a lot of my guided sequences on YouTube. And in the Silent Flute archive, there's lots of specific addressing the shoulders, the neck, the lower back, the pelvis and hips. And there's some easy routines for people that aren't really super getting into yoga, but like simple, easy, potent routines to kind of refresh the body. Yeah, there's a lot of free stuff on YouTube, and a lot of it's really good, but people just give it away. And so there's going to be little statements, little things that they slip into that when they're talking through their sequence that you got to listen for and don't take on that sentence. So one of the benefits of what I do is my familiarity and awareness of neurolinguistics. And I won't necessarily say something. I mean, within my awareness, I still probably have things that, I say to myself, and therefore I say outside of myself, that keep me in that condition in life. So I'm uprooting those and I'm weeding those. And I don't think a lot of people are aware of those, and just listen to me talk and you'll hear that I'm maybe a little further along in that arena, which I would argue is the most important arena, how you communicate with the world. I use yoga to get to ultimately probably the spiritual. I say probably because I think they're really intertwined, the material and the spiritual. And, it's, as we say, I'll get to our book study for the Silent Flute, to be spiritually rich does not mean to be materially impoverished. And that would be a fool's philosophy to even think that. So when it comes to postures, I would look at time, effort. Do you have any pain or injuries, something you're specifically wanting to address? That probably would be the first thing you think about. And then listen for the language of who you're listening to and the reputability. Some other people that I like to follow are Simon Borg-Olivier, it's spelled Olivier though. And, he has great posture stuff. Follow the Ashtanga system, and specifically I love the teachings of David Garrigues. And as far as other posture stuff, I like Dylan Warner stuff, but he's really strong, and it's really fitness kind of stuff. But so that's like a distant third. But first and second is Simon and David, and also Doug Swenson is great. His flows are great, and for just a kind of Tai Chi-esque kind of energetic flow, I would look up, like on my YouTube, I have some of those kind of flows. They're a little old. But they're well-rounded. Doug has stayed healthy for about 40, 50, however long, 60, 50 years, whatever, how long he's been practicing. He's an old guy, and he's still healthy. He's still doing it. He drives around a lot. And it's like, so I admire a lot that, you can't cheat time like that. Time means something if you're still doing it that long, still healthy, and you just don't see a lot of people doing that. So his flows are definitely gentle and, good for the body. So those are my influences, and I leave it for you to decide.